And happy National Ag Day. I'm Greg Horstmeyer. I'm the editor-in-chief at DTN, the Progressive Farmer. But more importantly today, I come to you as the chair of the Agriculture Council of America and a group that helps to put together National Ag Day with a lot of help from a lot of other folks that participate in this event. I want to welcome everyone today. Welcome to our virtual event. It's sad that we can't participate in person. But one of the things that one of the advantages of this virtual environment is that more folks can attend than the biggest part of National Ag Day, as well as not being able to have to come to Washington, D.C., where we usually have these events. And that is a great thing. We've got over 550 people registered, and people are starting to roll in here this morning. And very excited to put on this presentations for you today. Before we get started, want to make sure that everybody knows that we'll be running through the morning here today. And as we run through, if you want to talk about Ag Day and some of the things that you say and think and see, you can put those out on your social media platforms with the hashtag AgDay21. We encourage everyone to do that. And we hope you'll stay with us through the day. One of the advantages, as I said, of having an event like this and being able to do this in a virtual way is we can both have audience from all over the country. We can also have speakers attending from all over the country. This is often a national event, and we often celebrate a lot of the event in Washington, D.C. But we know that agriculture is not just national and international, it's local. And it is a big part of the many states of our country. And we are excited today to have a couple of live speakers with us from some of those great farm states. Starting this morning from the great state of Kansas, we have Governor Laura Kelly, who is the 48th governor of that state. She's now going into her third year as governor and a former state senator as well. And we're excited to have her on board. We'll hear from her in a moment and then have a chance to talk to her a little bit. We'll also have with us this morning Governor Mike Parson from the neighboring state to Kansas of Missouri. So we're excited to have both of those folks with us here today. And we appreciate them both taking the time and we appreciate the ability to have them and let them speak to all of you. So with that, if Governor Kelly is available. Governor, welcome. Great to have you today. I have to say that I had a great weekend in your state over this weekend. I've had a lot of chances to visit your great state, but I now have a new grandson there. So I'm going to be visiting your state a lot more and traveling on your highways. So thank you for the ability to do that, and welcome.
You are welcome to Kansas anytime. Where's your grandson?
He's in Manhattan. My daughter and her husband are in Manhattan. So
okay, well, I've got my K-State colors on today because this is National Ag Day.
Absolutely, understand.
I am really pleased to be here for the 2021 National Ag Day event, and especially in such esteemed company. I'm honored to participate in today's event alongside Missouri's Governor Mike Parson, my neighbor. And as neighbors, the two of us have worked together on a variety of initiatives, including strengthening our agricultural sectors. Following the historic flooding along the Missouri River in 2019, the two of us partnered with Iowa's Governor Kim Reynolds and Nebraska's Governor Pete Ricketts to protect local land and business owners, particularly our farmers, from future flood damage. I appreciate Governor Parson's commitment to protecting the homes, the livestock, and the land of farmers in the lower 4 states of the Missouri Basin. I'm also pleased to be with our newly reinstated Agricultural Secretary, Tom Vilsack. Secretary Vilsack is a champion for agriculture in the U.S. and worked tirelessly under President Obama to strengthen the industry. Now that he's back, I'm looking forward to partnering with him and the new Biden administration to build on that work. You know, there's a reason Kansas is known as the breadbasket of the world. As the proud governor of this great state, I'd be remiss if I didn't brag about our strong tradition of agricultural excellence. We are national leaders in agricultural production, first in wheat and sorghum, second in cropland acreage, and third in cattle and calves. We export goods worldwide, with Mexico and Japan our top purchasers. In 2020, we exported over $4 billion in goods. That was up 5.6% from the previous year. And that's the first time exports have surpassed the $4 billion mark in Kansas since 2014. It was a huge accomplishment, particularly during a pandemic. But as with any industry in Kansas, our agricultural excellence starts with our people. Farming is essentially a birthright here in Kansas. Generations of farmers have worked this land since before Kansas became a state. Our farmers, our ranchers, and our agricultural workers toil from sunup to sundown to keep high quality, nutritious food on the plates of families across our state, the nation, and the world. We actually have signs decorating our highways declaring that one Kansas farmer feeds more than 155 people plus you. With over 58,000 farms in the state, that's a lot of people being fed. That's why when the pandemic started, we acted immediately. Protecting our agricultural workers and the supply chain was paramount. Kansas is home to several meatpacking plants where close quarters can make physical distancing nearly impossible. When the crisis worsened, we brought in a CDC SWAT team to work with our meatpacking plants and the employees to ensure that safety protocols were put in place, personal protective equipment and testing was plentiful, and non-congregate housing was available for workers who needed to quarantine. Thanks to the engagement of federal and local partners and our businesses, Kansas was the only state in the nation that didn't shut down any meatpacking production during the pandemic. We were also the first state to prioritize vaccines for frontline workers in the meatpacking industry. All plant workers in Kansas who wanted a vaccine have received their first dose and are on track to be fully vaccinated within the next 2 weeks. Ensuring our food supply chain remained intact and our workers healthy was a critical priority. Throughout the pandemic, however, Kansas set our sights on not just short-term solutions. We made investments that will ensure that, should we be confronted with a crisis anything like COVID again, our food supply chain will be sound. Using nearly $12 million in Federal CARES Act, Kansas awarded Securing Local Food Systems grants to over 250 Kansas-owned food and ag-related businesses. Through these grants, agribusiness and nonprofits across Kansas have been able to revamp their business models. They've changed how they interact with consumers by expanding online services or in-person delivery and finding innovative ways to expand capacity. Thanks to these grants, meat processing plants and lockers across the state can expand cold storage capacity. Specialty crop farmers have developed new water systems using technology to expand water use and increase crop options. And our smaller grocery stores have created their own systems of online ordering and delivery to serve their communities. These forward-thinking, progressive projects will strengthen our agriculture community long after the pandemic is over. My administration is committed to supporting ag business every way we can to continue promoting local ingenuity and growth. By working with public and private partners on all levels, we're confident that ag is not just a critical part of Kansas's past and a key economic driver in our present, but that it continues to make Kansas proud and strong. Again, I want to thank you for inviting me to participate in the National Ag Day. If you want, I'll take some questions.
Great. Thank you, Governor Kelly. Appreciate those comments and appreciate some of that information about some of the many things that we've been doing this last year in Kansas. It's obviously been a challenging year, lots of things happening there. You mentioned at the beginning of your conversation, your presentation, trade and that, you know, in many states, Kansas being one, agriculture is important, not only locally, but also it's a huge participant in international trade. And I know you've been a supporter of the USMCA, and I just wanted to, you know, get into that a little bit, your take on how that's moving ahead. I know we have some ag groups that are a little concerned about some issues that are happening there, but what's your take on how that act is helping to promote trade for Kansas and for all U.S. farmers?
Well, I think the most obvious way is the recent merger of the two railroads, the Canadian Pacific and the Kansas City Southern, which will create a seamless corridor from Canada through the United States and into Mexico, allowing our farmers and ranchers to get their goods to market much more easily than it's been before. So I think that's the biggest way that the USMCA has positively impacted our state. And Mexico is one of our biggest purchasers. We need to be able to facilitate that relationship in any way possible. And I really felt that the USMCA was that path. Was it perfect? No, nothing is, but it was better than what we didn't have. So I was glad to be, I think, the only Democrat governor who actually got on and supported it.
You mentioned that merger over the weekend with Canadian Pacific and the purchase of Kansas City Southern. It looks like, as you said, that's a fairly positive and neutral in many ways action. Obviously, the farm country is always concerned around consolidation. We've seen some issues around the consolidation in the meatpacking industry and in input suppliers and those kind of things. But you think that this one is one that should sail through and will be positive for Kansas farmers?
I definitely think that it'll be positive for Kansas. Whether it'll sail through, that no guarantees. I'm in government. I know how it works. But I do think that it'd be positive. And I think even with this merger, this still will not be the largest railroad conglomerate in the country. So I don't think we're bucking up against that sort of issue that we might see with other mergers.
You talk a bit about the many things that we have to work on in agriculture. Transportation is one of those infrastructure things. Rural broadband is another one, and I know that's an issue that's close to your list of things to work on. You have a vast state. You have a huge rural population out there across the state of Kansas. How is that going in your state? 1 to 10, where would you rate Kansas in terms of supplying broadband to all the farm families that need it out there?
Well, I would give us an A for effort, but I'd still say we're at about C. We have a lot more work to do. But we started dealing with this really almost from the day I took office. I've recognized for a long time, for my 14 years in the state Senate, how critical broadband access is to our rural communities. I don't know how many doors I knocked on in rural Kansas when I was running for state Senate, where that was the #1 issue. And I worked on it when I was in the Senate, and I continued as I came into the governor's office. The nice thing about being in the governor's office, there's actually more that I can do. And we did that. We just passed again, our 4th comprehensive transportation program. Those are 10-year comprehensive plans that we've been putting together in Kansas since 1989. We just passed our 4th one in 2019, but we did it differently than the other 3 in a whole host of ways. But one of the most significant differences is it's the first time we have ever committed state general fund dollars to broadband expansion. It's the first time that we have ever put broadband on sort of the same level as other infrastructure like roads and bridges, so that as we are laying concrete across the state of Kansas, we're also thinking about how do we get fiber to these communities. So that happened, and then we took advantage of the CARES funding that came in early and set up a number of partnerships with our rural telecom companies in particular, where they were able to, really almost pop up broadband access. We had a strict deadline, deadline on spending that CARES money. So we went after some sort of shovel-ready projects, and we've been able to already increase access in our rural communities. Just last week or the week before, I was in one of our rural communities, and we were announcing additional connectivity grants to, I think, about 14 more communities. So we're working on it. It is an ongoing process, but to that point, we set up an Office of Rural Prosperity right after I got into office. Lieutenant Governor was heading it up at the time. It's now in the Department of Commerce. But also within the Department of Commerce, we have now set up an Office of Broadband Development so that this issue, will never again fall off the radar screen. We will keep this up there, and we will work at it to we're an A in effort and an A in results.
Well, a lot of challenges and a lot of things to do as we, try to work through all of these issues. You mentioned COVID and the ability to get product into farms and out of farms and into packing plants and out to the grocery shelves. So many things to take care of as governor and to keep track of as governor. And I know that you're a very busy woman these days. So we appreciate you being able to spend some time with us. I want to thank everybody here that's participating in Ag Day today for your time and your thoughts and giving us a bit of a feel for what's happening out in your great state.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Greg. And maybe next year I can come to DC and do this.
We would love that. We're all looking forward to being able to gather together and have a physical presence. So that would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Governor Kelly. Sliding a little bit to the east now, we are very happy to see, I see his face now on camera, Governor Mike Parson of Missouri. That's the state I was born in, so go Tigers, Mike. Very glad to have you here today. Again, we're celebrating National Ag Day. We're talking about how agriculture is national, and we usually celebrate this as Governor Kelly and I were just talking about, and within the Beltway of Washington, D.C., as well as out there in the countryside. But one of the advantages of this virtual environment is we can have both participants, and we're now in the 550 range that are signed up for today's events. But we can also have speakers from all over, and so we're very happy to have you with us today and taking part in this virtual Ag Day. So I would I turn it over to you for some remarks about how things are going in your state and some of the things that you see happening in agriculture.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, and good morning to everyone on the call this morning. First of all, it's just an honor to be a farmer. Yesterday I was home, actually, to be right honest about it, we was building a corral at the farm, putting on real fertilizer, not political fertilizer yesterday, but real fertilizer I was doing yesterday at home, but was there yesterday. But, agriculture is so dear to me because I grew up in that environment and understand it. And I think it's one of the advantages I have as a governor of this great state that I live in is understanding it. And I think when you look at our state, how successful we've been in agriculture and how much we promote it, being the number one industry, you really have to know all aspects of agriculture, whether it's from farm to table aspect of it, I want to say, to understand it. And we've been very supportive of that since I've been governor. And we've been trying to put a lot of things in place to make sure farmers can compete, not only in the United States, but globally, how important that is. I could talk to you all kinds of aspects of agriculture, but it's the business side of, I would like to talk to today a little bit about that. But I'll talk cows and calves or row crops. Anybody wants to call me up and talk, I'll do that, or John Deere tractors, I don't care. But the reality of it is the business side of it in today's world is how competitive farming is and how you have to prepare for that financially, how you have to have the tools on that farm to be able to compete, such as internet. I know we'll be talking about broadband here in a little bit, but that has been one of the priorities that we've had in this state is broadband. And to so much a priority for us, it's not a matter of funding. It's actually, frankly, a matter of just getting it done. But when I took over governor, we still had some schools in our state that didn't have broadband capability. And a lot of those are in rural areas. And, you can't compete in today's markets, today's education, whatever it is to prepare those kids for tomorrow. So if we can put electricity in every home in this country, we can put broadband in every home. It's a matter of rolling up your sleeves and telling people, this is what you're going to do. You tell the telecom industry, this is what you're going to do, and you start executing that plan. So I think that has to be part of the infrastructure process of the business side of agriculture. I think the other thing, since I've been governor, we've made workforce development and infrastructure our top priorities in this state. Both have everything to do with agriculture when we make that, along with and our state's very diverse with St. Louis and Kansas City on the borders. But the reality of it is, those are all big issues to agriculture. We got to have the workforce of tomorrow to know the business side of it, the IT side of it, the financial side of it. When you get like companies like Bunge moves their global headquarters to St. Louis, Missouri from the East Coast, that's good news for all of us because they're understanding the importance of agriculture and one, how much we support it. You know, in the last year, I need to say it's been difficult for all of us in the real world of farming in all aspects. But the one thing that I do know that, you know, was one of the toughest decisions I ever made, we didn't shut this state down. We let everybody continue doing business. Every business in our state could do business if they wanted to do business in this state. And which means meat processing plants had to be open for business. You had to be able to make the supply, as we all know what the grocery stores look like. But again, it's the importance of knowing what hits that ground versus what hits the table. And the one advice I would give to everybody on the phone too, and I've been very fortunate, I've had Senator Roy Blunt in the Senate in Washington, D.C. that understands this. But one thing we all need to understand is most politicians, most of the people that sit in these seats are not farmers, are not in the arena of agriculture. And that's where we all play a role in making sure we educate them that they understand what it's really like. And for most of you know, somebody introduces a bill, they want to help, they want to do something. But if you haven't done it, it's very difficult to understand it. So I think promoting agriculture here in Missouri is definitely one of my priorities here in the state. Matter of fact, I don't know if any other governors do it, but if they don't, they should. I drive a tractor to work on FFA, Dale, from the mansion to the governor's office every year to make sure everybody knows how much I support that. And I support them kids out there. But a lot of good things happen in our state. I mean, prices have been fairly well for us. We're looking at some of the trade agreements. We got the USMCA, you know, it's very important to us here and how we build on that. Of course, we all would like to see things move a little faster pace, but one of the great news for us, I think, you know, is the combine of the Canadian Pacific with Kansas City Southern that opens that Canada to Mexico wave up for us. So that's big when the automobile, the agriculture side of that. So just a lot of good things happening in Missouri. But again, it's all about the messaging. And let me just take it back over to you here, but I want to finish with one thing. And I'm an old school guy with gray hair. But in 1950s, over 50% of the people in this country were farmers who had a farm-related background in the 1950s. Today, less than 2%. So if you don't think education and if you don't think messaging is important for people to understand what it is we do to feed the world, now's the time for us to be telling that story. So anyhow, it's great to be on this morning, and I'll turn it back over to you, Greg.
Great, I appreciate that. And yeah, you've touched on a couple of points that we also talked a little bit with Governor Kelly about. And one of those is that merger or the purchase of Kansas City Southern by the Canadian Pacific Railroad. And, you know, Missouri is such a crossroads state in terms of transportation. You've got several big interstates. You've got a couple of rivers that are kind of important to your state there. And then railway as well. Railway's always been a big part of Missouri and the big hub in Kansas City and in other places. Talk a little bit about that merger. You farmers, and we're always a little bit concerned about mergers and consolidation. And it's been an ongoing story in agriculture, but I'll ask you the same thing I asked Governor Kelly. You see that as a positive issue, and you think this is a good thing for farmers?
Yeah, I do. I think anytime you can expand the markets is a good thing, and you can get those products out. It's a competitive world, and I know there will be some people that probably would say, "Hey, we just should leave that alone. We like things the way they are." But the reality of it is, competition makes us all better, and as long as it's fair competition, I think we all want that in that. So we'll see how all that works out. But I think to go back to what you said, Missouri. You know, when you look at the rivers we have in this state, we're in the crossroads of the country when it comes to highway system, the rail systems, you know, what our rivers are going to do in the future that I think you're going to see huge expansions of that for agriculture. Those are tremendous opportunities for all of us to take advantage of it. In the last year, when COVID-19, a lot of people were back on their heels a little bit, we actually created 10,000 new jobs in this state. Not the ones we lost, not the ones we brought back, but 10,000 new jobs. And we did over $1 billion worth of new businesses coming here. And simply because a lot of it has to do with distribution and a lot of it has to do with ag, simply because we're in the crossroads of the United States of America. And to get those products out to where everybody needs to go, distribution will be a new, I want to say a much more emphasis on that distribution side of things in the future. And I think anytime you're expanding rail, you're expanding your highway systems, your river ports, it's good news for the country, it's good news for the state.
You mentioned support from the federal government on a number of things, and one of the things that you brought up also in terms of infrastructure and the help to do that distribution is the internet, to have access. We know we've got pretty good situation through a lot of the big cities across the country, Missouri being no stranger to that. But the issue about rural broadband and expanding that in rural areas is a challenge. I know that your rural electric co-ops have been pretty involved in that, and there's a lot of pieces of both private and public partnerships that are involved in expanding that broadband situation. I'll ask you the same question I asked Governor Kelly. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think Missouri is in terms of broadband access by rural families, and where do you want to be in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think we're high. I think we're around 7. We've just made it such a priority here in this state. Matter of fact, we've just been opening new centers across the state, people putting in internet all across here. We had a little town went to 10 Gs the other day. I mean, it's just incredible for a little town of Chillicothe, Missouri, kind of out there by itself, and all of a sudden they're be able to do that. But it's the partnership we're creating between the federal, the state, and the local levels. No, you can't wait for the federal government to do everything. If you do, you're going to be waiting until and you're not going to have any time. And the states can't do it by themselves. But if you can really develop a partnership and find out where the gaps are in your state, find out where is it I really need to focus on to make sure and up that game a little bit to provide that service is it. The other thing, the co-ops here, they just do a great job here in our state. I'm so proud of them for what they do. But look, we got major corporations out there too that we're all familiar with their names and everything. And frankly, they're going to places where it's profitable, where they make money. And this is just the truth of the industry. And they don't want to go out there and pick up those other areas because it's not so profitable. That's where we got to push a little harder. We got to say, look, it's good. We want you to make money, but you're going to have to go out there and make sure people have the service also. And it may be not so profitable as a big city, but you got to do your part to help because you're always looking for our help. And they always are coming to our offices and saying, hey, I need help with something. So I guess my whole philosophy is says, you need to step up their game too to help us.
Do you work on this with a lot of your fellow governors across the country? Is this an issue that you talk about a lot and you provide advice to them and they've given you some things that have worked out there? What are some things that you've learned doing that?
Yeah, I think building a relationship on the federal level, understanding how to leverage federal dollars, that you can also use state money, but you got to invest in infrastructure. You can't just talk that game and think things are going to get better. For me as governor, every year since I've been governor for 3 years now, I put millions of dollars in our state budget to work on broadband. And then I leverage that money on the federal level and then tell the locals if they want to help themselves out quicker, you need to bring up to chin the pole a little bit, put some money in that. And when you do that, you can expand at such much faster rate. And I tell other governors this when I talk to them, look, this falls on our shoulders, basically. You just can't wait on somebody else to do it for you. You've got to be able to be pretty aggressive and be able to get those sources out there. And I think you'll see Missouri all over our state. You're seeing cable companies, you're seeing people that's in the internet business are starting to move in here because one, they know we're going to be consistent with the funding, which is another thing that's important. You just can't do a one-time thing and say, okay, I give some money, it's all over. You have to continually have a 5 or 10 year plan of how you're going to do that. And I tell governors that all the time. If you don't have a plan in place, actually, frankly, longer than you're going to be in office, you're probably not getting the job done. So you got to lay that out and start executing it. And that's what we're doing here in Missouri. And that's Believe me, we moved the needle a lot in the last 3 years.
All those things are long-term efforts, absolutely, and it's that we all hope that the folks that follow us will be in a better situation than when we come into positions and things. So I can appreciate that effort. The last thing I'd ask you a little bit about, you touched on keeping the state open through the COVID pandemic. We're a year into this now. It's why we're doing this the way we're doing it today, virtually. I think that for most of rural America, and especially rural Missouri, things have been moving along fairly well. Do you anticipate any issues this spring as farmers go to the field, and you think everybody kind of has this thing figured out?
Well, I don't know if we all got it all figured out yet. I think we're still working on it. There's one thing about it. There was no playbook for this, and everybody had to do the best they could.
Indeed.
And, you had to balance, a lot of things there. But at the end of the day, it was about, one for me was freedom. How do you do that? And balance that. But the farmers had to be out there. I knew all along that farmers had to be able to go to work, had to produce the product, had to work the land, and then sell their product. We knew that had to happen. We were kidding ourselves to be able to shut down the food supply in this country and think somehow we're going to be all right, because we wasn't. So again, it's why we didn't shut things down in this state. And when we didn't shut things down, in July, I wonder, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? But sometimes you have to stay with what you see. But the other thing about it is we got one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation right now. We're in the top 10. We are second in the United States with the lowest positivity rate. And we had our state open the entire time. We're 11th in the United States for site selectors, people wanting to come to our state because of the freedom they have to know that they're not going to get shut down. I mean, so when you do things like that and you put agriculture at the forefront and you put people's daily lives at the forefront, that's what's important in the middle of a crisis. It's too easy to respond to a knee-jerk reaction, or too easy to be able to say, yes, I'm going to shut everything down because that's the easy way. And I know those are tough decisions for everybody. I don't make light about that. But for me, it was about making sure our farmers could go to work, they could sell the product, and the businesses that were buying those products and processing those products could get it to the people's tables. That was a priority from number one. So I think we're full steam ahead here in Missouri. I mean, spring's coming, planting season's here, grass is going to be here for long. And, look, farmers are tough. Agriculture is just a tough arena. And a lot of times doesn't have near the resources, near the help as it should have. But at the end of the day, it's about the people behind those, on those farms, day in and day out, producing for the people of this country.
Great point. It is about all the people that are involved, and the farmers, their families, and everyone that supports them. And our theme this year, food brings everyone to the table, and it's such an important part of all of our economies and everything that we do. Governor, we certainly appreciate your time with us today. It's been great to get a chance to visit with you. And I know that, as I said earlier, you folks are pretty busy right now. There's a lot of things going on in your state and all the states. And we know that your time is precious. And we certainly appreciate you taking some of that to be with us today and to talk to us about some of the agricultural issues that you have that are dear to your heart. So good luck to you this spring, and good luck with those cows.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us on. Come back to Missouri here and have to visit every once in a while.
Thank you. I will do that. Certainly would do that. Thank you, Governor Parson.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate both Governor Parson and Governor Kelly this morning, a chance to visit with us a little bit about some of the things going on in the heartland. I hope that you'll continue to enjoy today's Ag Day activities. We have a full morning of a lot of presentations from some of our sponsors, from some of our award winners, our best young farmers. We'll hear from them today. We'll also hear from our essay winner and video winner, some fantastic commentary about agriculture. It really is cool to watch that kind of stuff. So welcome. Please participate. Don't forget hashtag Ag Day 21. Let everybody know what's going on in your world for National Ag Day, and let's let the celebration roll.
Ag Day is made possible through the generosity of our sponsors. These industry leaders are dedicated to sharing all the ways ag makes our way of life possible. Thank you.
This year's theme, Food Brings Everyone to the Table, rings so true in my mind. When you pause and think about important events that take place in our lives, these events almost always involve sharing food with family and friends. Holiday parties, graduations, baby showers, business meetings, and birthdays. It's people coming together, sitting around the table, engaging in conversation, celebrating and sharing ideas. It's a part of life and hopefully something we can all get back to real soon. John Deere is honored to be a part of National Ag Day to celebrate the amazing work farmers and ranchers do every day to provide enough healthy food while protecting the planet. Farmers face big challenges. One of the biggest is how to feed a growing world, a population that will grow to nearly 10 billion people by 2050. As this demand for food grows, the demand for available land, water, and other resources will come under even more pressure. This pressure will force farmers to produce more with less, while also managing the many other variables and challenges they face during the growing season. Changing weather conditions and threats from pests and disease are only some of the variables that can negatively affect a farmer's ability to grow food in a sustainable manner. John Deere is focused on helping all farmers reach their goals. We understand every pass through the field matters. That's why we continue to innovate to help farmers be more productive, more profitable, and to make their operations more sustainable. John Deere is leading efforts to bring technology to help all farmers reach their sustainability goals. Today's smart equipment allows farmers to use less fuel and to plant seeds and apply fertilizer and herbicide with pinpoint accuracy. These innovations help farmers be more productive and profitable while safeguarding the soil, the water, and the air. Our future can take this further, all the way to plant level management. By adding cameras, artificial intelligence, and sensors, our equipment has the potential to manage at the plant level in real time. Real-time plant level management will help to increase productivity, lower costs, and deliver more precision in each job. John Deere salutes the American farmer and is honored to be part of National Ag Day to celebrate the amazing work farmers and ranchers do every single day to provide enough healthy food while protecting the earth. Thank you.
2,019,000. That's how many farms there are in this country. 2,019,000 reasons to be thankful. And it only takes about 2.6 million people out on those farms to produce the crops and livestock we need. That's less than 1% of the U.S. population because our farms are so productive. Facts to consider as those of us at Farm Progress and This Week in Agribusiness pay tribute on National Agriculture Day.
Annually, 100 students representing AFA, 4-H, FFA, and Manners gather in Washington, D.C. to bring Ag Day to the Hill. The participants come together for advocacy training and for a chance to meet with elected officials to discuss agricultural trends. Typically, the students average 86 visits with members of Congress as well as staffers. This last year, in 2020, however, the programming quickly moved to virtual due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we were unable to make those legislative visits.
In the past, students have learned about advocacy and governmental policy in a very intense one-day training session. But this year, participants will be learning over multiple days. From getting the chance to hear from agriculturalists who appeared on reality TV competitions, from industry relations specialists, and a young alumni from the 4 organizations. Students will learn about the importance of advocating for agriculture.
Previously, due to time constraints, students were limited to the number of elected officials they could meet with. In 2021, students will be virtual and will be doing virtual visits with elected officials. This year, with the virtual option and having more availability, students are hoping to visit with multiple elected legislators. Students will be prepared to speak on such topics as broadband access and the impact of agriculture on the environment.
All the students in attendance would like to thank our sponsors, including CHS, for making this possible. Additionally, other sponsors have so graciously donated items for participants to receive special gift boxes to help them with the conference. Without these sponsorships, we would not be able to gather to talk the importance of our industry and bring Ag Day to the Hill.
Hi everyone, I'm Jay Deberton, President and Chief Executive Officer of CHS. I'm proud to salute America's farmers and ranchers and all the businesses that supply them with the products, the services, and the technology they need. CHS has proudly supported National Ag Day for the past 28 years. While it's a day to celebrate, it's also a day to educate. Every year, Ag Day brings 100 students to Washington, D.C. This year, of course, that's going to have to happen virtually. The students meet in small groups with their elected representatives and their senators, where they share their vision and the future of agriculture. Many of these young faces represent future farmers, and others, well, they're going to live out their dream by landing a job in an industry full of exciting careers. Agriculture needs teachers, it needs scientists, it needs engineers, managers and marketers and tech gurus. All kinds of people doing all kinds of jobs, bringing diversity to the table. It's true, agriculture and the food it produces really does bring everyone to the table. Happy Ag Day, everyone.
I'm Greg Horstmeyer, Editor-in-Chief at DTN and this year's Chair of the Agriculture Council of America Board of Directors. DTN and the Progressive Farmer are extremely proud to be longtime sponsors of the Council and of National Ag Day. While today DTN provides business insights to a host of industries around the globe, our start and our heart is in U.S. agriculture. And our Progressive Farmer magazine has served farmers and ranchers for more than 135 years. So we're all excited to be part of this day when the nation shines a light on one of its most critical industries, agriculture. We hope you'll enjoy this year's virtual Ag Day presentations and you'll join us in celebrating our essay winners and top young farmers. We also hope the day's events are just one of the many ways you'll recognize and celebrate the farm families and businesses who make U.S. agriculture possible. For it's true, food brings everyone to the table. Have a safe and fun National Ag Day.
One of the most important components of National Ag Day are the grassroots activities in communities across America. No group is better at mobilizing grassroots activities than the American Farm Bureau Federation. They play a key role in bringing Ag Day to life. Here to talk about their efforts is Isabella Chisholm, chair of the AFBF Women's Committee and a member of the National Ag Day Board. She is joined by AFBF President Zippy Duvall.
Where would we be without agriculture? Some would say naked and hungry. I say we would be no more. Good morning. It is a privilege to share the platform on National Ag Day 2021 with our American Farm Bureau President, Zippy Duvall. As we celebrate our nation's farm families, it is important that we share our stories. President Duvall is a third-generation Georgia farmer that has served as president of American Farm Bureau Federation since 2016. He owns a beef cow herd, raises broiler chickens, and grows his own hay, all while continuing to restore the land he inherited. His leadership has helped shape a new farm bill, restored and defeated misguided regulations, shepherded new trade agreements, and ensured farmers and ranchers are supported through natural disasters and the effects of a pandemic. President Duvall, I know to you every day is Ag Day, but I also know you have a compelling story as to why you advocate for agriculture. Would you mind sharing that story with our audience this morning?
I don't mind at all, Isabella, and thank you so much for inviting me to be on here with you today and celebrating National Ag Day. It's a wonderful day to be able to recognize the most important industry in our country. You know, my story starts a long time ago when I came out of college and bought my dad's dairy, and it was before I was married, so I'd end up at my mother's breakfast table after milking in the morning, and I would sit there and complain about the regulation and the price of my milk I was getting and all the things that were affecting my business and which was affecting my family because it affected my income. And my dad just very calmly leaned back in his chair and he says, well, if you want to fix those things, you have to get outside your fence rows. And what he meant was you got to get involved in the policies that are passed in your state house and your county commission office and all the way to the Congress and the President of the United States. And what better way to do that than to join up with other people that were doing things like I were doing, and that was farming. And that's what Farm Bureau does. It provides a place for all farmers to put their voices together on all kinds of issues, and it's a true grassroots effort. And we are the one united voice of American farmers.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to share that story. And what a better way than to amplify our voices together, as you said. Thank you so much. So on this National Ag Day, we know that it would not be possible without the efforts of the grassroots farmers, ranchers, and agriculturalists. Would you speak to the value of the grassroots in agriculture, please?
The grassroots in agriculture is so important because we're out in the vast parts of our country, a lot of times alone by ourselves, not being able to interact with other people. So when they take time out of their schedule to be part of a grassroots organization and let their voice be heard, that's exactly what Farm Bureau does. That's the way it was created. We work from the top up, and now from our grassroots up, our policy comes, and the issues that we discuss each and every day on Capitol Hill come straight from our farmers. And when we talk to a congressman or a senator, and we talk to them out of our policy book, they know that I'm speaking to them directly from the farm of one of their constituents that is farming in their area. So that's what makes us so strong. It's all about active grassroots involvement. So, Isabella, as we talked about our active grassroots involvement, can you tell me some of the exciting things that Farm Bureau is doing to be involved in National Ag Day?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. There are so many things going on and I'm sure that the ones that I'm going to share are only scratching the surface. We have, since we are in this pandemic now, and there's still some restrictions on in-person meetings, and especially in school classrooms, they're not allowing visitors into the classroom. So a lot of our volunteers have found that they cannot go in and do the same activities that they used to do. We have them doing virtual classroom visits, some of them taking our book of the year, the Tales of a Dairy Godmother, Chuck's Ice Cream Story, Ice Cream Wish, they're delivering that to the classroom with supplies to make ice cream. The teachers know that's coming, they've accepted that. And then on the day of the activity, they're setting up a virtual time where the volunteer can get into the classroom virtually, lead them through the activity. And the faces that I've seen and pictures I've received are just amazing. It is being just as effective as it was the other way. So now we know we have alternatives. We also have Indiana that has an Adopt the Classroom, which is almost like a virtual pen pal with a farmer where they can see what's going on the farm right now, right then. Then we have our legislative activities that are going on. We have some communities that are getting together and putting together boxed breakfasts or boxed lunches and able to put those out there with the Farm Bureau message for the legislators to pick up. And then we have the virtual legislative visits that are going on. So they're running the gamut. They're going all the way from the classroom to community organizations and to our elected officials.
So, that is one of the things that I've discovered in this pandemic is, you hate to talk about positives that come out of something that's so bad. And our hearts and prayers go out to all the families that suffered through the pandemic. But then you got to be proud of the response of our first responders and our farmers and ranchers and all the people that work along the food chain. And as we went through this pandemic, we realized that every day we were discovering that our food security was very fragile. And we were seeing that food insecurity was becoming more of a reality every day. And people were very concerned about where their food was coming from. We have more interest in where their food comes from and the farmers that grow it than we ever have, and that's why I identified one of the silver linings as an opportunity to tell that story. We started hashtag Still Farming here at American Farm Bureau, and our state farm bureaus picked that up and pushed it out to the countryside. And we've touched over 100 million people with that hashtag in over 90 different countries that's been involved in it. It's just been a great opportunity for us to tell the great story of American agriculture to the people that consume our food each and every day. We represent less than 2% of the population out on a farm, and the other 98% is free to do what they want to do each and every day because we're out there growing their food from them. People don't have to be in their backyards growing their own food. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to National Ag Day, and I want to thank you for what you're doing and the organization that you are working with. And I know this is the beginning of the week of National Ag Day, and I know that it's a great opportunity for all our farmers and ranchers across the country to tell their story and assure our American people that we're out there each and every day making sure that we're providing them with health and safe food for them and their families. So happy National Ag Day, and I hope you have a great celebration this week.
Oh, thank you, President Duval. It's been such a pleasure having you here. And as far as our grassroots members, we have only just begun. You know, I look at National Ag Day as a birthday. You and I live 365 days a year, and we take one day to celebrate our birthday and to recognize that this is the day in history that we were born. Well, agriculture is the same way. You alluded to it earlier when you said that a unified minority wields far more power than a divided majority. And that's what we saw in that hashtag Still Farming. We gave a sense of relief to the people that were wondering where their food is when grocery shelves were empty. So I do very much believe in silver linings, and I do believe we need to look for them. And I think right now we see that silver lining in our grassroots. They have not given up. They continue to share their stories, their farm family stories. They continue to build events that are impacting others, whether it's as simple as delivering groceries to a neighbor that can't get out, or actually telling the story and educating their neighbors about agriculture and what they do on their family farm. So if anyone is out there that still wants to do something, that wants to reach out, the agday.org website is full of resources. Now, I'll tell you, take a little bit of time to look through it, because you can plan an event from beginning to end just by going to that website. And I'll tell you, President Duval, that it is our foundation, the American Farm Bureau Foundation for Agriculture, that is linked to that website where a lot of those resources come from. So it's important that we do band together, not only within agriculture, but all of our collaborative opportunities outside. So thank you for helping us elevate and celebrate agriculture today. And I'd like to leave with a question. Where would the audience say, where would you say we would be without agriculture? Happy National Ag Day.
Happy National Agriculture Day. Growmark and its FS and grain cooperative members are proud to be a part of this national recognition of our nation's agriculture industry. We literally can't go a day without touching some part of agriculture, whether it's the food we eat, the clothes we wear, or the fuel we put in our vehicles. And we join you today in efforts to help Americans understand how food and fiber products are produced, to communicate the value of the essential role agriculture plays in maintaining a strong economy, and to help Americans appreciate how our nation's farmers and ranchers produce safe, abundant, and affordable food. I also want to applaud the more than 100 students who are interacting with our elected officials through virtual visits. Communicating with these leaders is a critical skill our industry needs now and will need in the future. It's easy to sit on the sidelines and let someone else be the face of agriculture. However, elected officials need to hear from you, the next generation in agriculture, and understand how their actions will impact our businesses and farm operations into the future. I encourage you to continue to carry the agriculture flag wherever you may end up in our industry. We're experiencing extraordinary times. In the face of challenges, farmers plant crops and ranchers raise livestock and poultry year after year for Americans and others around the globe. Today is designated National Agriculture Day. However, I encourage you to every day appreciate and recognize the value of the American agriculture industry to us all.
Hello, I'm Betsy Fries, an executive editor at Successful Farming. On behalf of everyone at Successful Farming, I want to thank farmers for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to feeding the world and caring for the land and this country's natural resources. I grew up feeding pigs and planting strawberries on my parents' farm in Maryland, and my husband and I live on an Iowa farm today. At Successful Farming, we celebrate the work of farm families and want to wish all of you a very happy National Ag Day.
Good morning and happy Ag Day. I'm Annette Degnan with CHS. As a farmer-owned cooperative, CHS has proudly supported Ag Day for the past 28 years. Recognizing and celebrating agriculture's contribution to our country's economy is important, and so is showcasing our next generation of leaders. One of the most important aspects of Ag Day Week events are the 100 students making virtual visits on Capitol Hill to visit with elected officials, where they share their plans to step in and step up, whether it's on their family farm or through a career serving farmers and ranchers. These students are bright and they are excited to take their place as tomorrow's leaders. Another student-focused program is the Ag Day Essay Contest. Today, we'll hear from two students recognized as this year's winners of the contest, which is sponsored by CHS with support from the National Association of Farm Broadcasting and Farm Progress. The Ag Day Essay Contest theme is Food Brings Everyone to the Table. More than 600 written essays were received and 2 merit winners were selected. Cody Laborde from Milliken, Colorado, and Aubrey Surridge from Monument, Colorado, were recognized with $100 awards. The first place winner of the written contest is Jackson Robber from High Point, North Carolina. He will be reading his winning essay today. The winner of the video essay is Kirthi Lamabotu from Pleasanton, California, and we will be watching her winning video. Both of these students received $1,000 awards. On behalf of CHS and its 600,000 farmer owners and the other companies supporting this contest, congratulations to all of the students. They've earned this recognition and our attention. Today, we'll hear from 2 of them.
Hi, my name is Jackson Rober. I'm a senior at Southwest Guilford High School in High Point, North Carolina. My essay is titled, Food Brings Everyone to the Table. My great-grandfather was an ag teacher in Western New York. By the time I arrived, he had long since retired. His hands were strong and seemed permanently stained with the earth. When I was young, he would put us to work picking strawberries and green beans from the garden or cracking piles of walnuts. He would walk us out back to feed the cows and goats in the neighbor's pasture. Sometimes he would teach us about the trees, advising us how to tell the difference between white oak and black oak. Friends stopped by to visit often came bearing gifts from their own crops. My great-grandmother worked magic in a small farmhouse kitchen as she prepared a mouth-watering spread with all that we had gathered. I feel fortunate to have had these early experiences. We all know food brings everyone to the table, but agriculture makes it all happen. Agriculture has evolved significantly over time from its simplistic beginnings, which allowed people to begin settling in communities, to modern practices of vertical farming and the use of robotics and drones. According to recent studies, precision agriculture allows farmers more accurate techniques for planting and growing crops, which in turn increases efficiency and cost management. This focus on advancing farming practices is essential as our population continues to increase. By the year 2050, farmers will have to produce 70% more food to feed our growing population. The role of technology in agriculture is now more important than ever to meet the demands of the future. Whereas the advancements in agriculture practices have allowed for more efficient food production, a growing focus on healthy, clean eating has increased the demand for food. In addition to grocery store purchases, many people and restaurants are buying more produce at local farmers markets. According to the USDA, the number of registered farmers markets nearly doubled in a decade, reaching almost 8,700 in 2016 and leveled off just shy of 8,800 in 2019. Healthy eating habits are dependent upon the ability to access a wide variety of nutritious food, solidifying that agriculture is essential to our healthy and well-being. While the world of agriculture is in a state of exciting technological advances that strive to meet the needs of our growing population, it is more important that we not forget the vital foods of its existence. Agriculture not only brings food to the table, it brings the family and friends. It brings tradition and reminds us of the importance of simplicity in life and the significance of those who share it.
This apple is small, yet the effort put into getting me this apple is not small at all. When looking at today's society, the prominent jobs are those that bring the most profit, and they happen to be in the field of STEM. IT, entrepreneurship, and biological sciences have all blown up with exponential growth in the recent century. However, as time goes by, our society is ignoring the very basis of our communities: food. As our population increases to 9 billion people, nothing, not even AI or smartphones, will matter if our hunger isn't satisfied. And that makes it more pressing for the agriculture industry to find sustainable solutions to producing food with quantity and quality, while facing situations like 20,000 jobs left unfilled in this sector every year. In addition, this puts a massive burden on those who are working in the farms, with their backs bent over in an attempt to feed the rest of their country. My apple went through a process of preparing land, growing trees, picking fruits, and eventually transporting them. And this brings us to the food value chain, which contains a primary focus for satisfying consumer needs by creating partnerships with supermarkets, farmers, and practically everyone involved in the process of bringing food to a consumer's plate. Agriculture has picked up the pace, not just by using the food value chain, but by in fact connecting with STEM and technology. Through the use of gene editing tools like CRISPR-Cas9, bioengineering, and enhancement of chemicals and pesticides, we're developing ways to increase output for our ever-growing population. All this work for enhancing food output and quality of food is not just to fill human hunger, it's because we realize that food essentially connects us. Food brings everyone to the table.
Hello, I'm Adriana Ratterman. I lead Corteva AgriSciences U.S. business for the Eastern Corn Belt. I'm honored to join you today on behalf of Corteva to celebrate National Agriculture Day and the essay contest winners. Corteva is a U.S.-based company that is 100% focused on agriculture. We launched in 2019 with the purpose to enrich the lives of those who produce and those who consume for generations to come. We do this by putting farmers and consumers at the heart of everything we do, making sure that farmers have what they need to produce quality agriculture products while protecting our natural resources and preserving the land. Whether that means finding ways to sustainably grow more food, creating smarter farms through innovation, or connecting key people and resources across global food systems, agriculture is at the heart of who we are as a company. We are proud to sponsor National Ag Day because, like all of you, we celebrate farming and we are working hard to tell the positive stories of American ag. As part of our commitment to sustainability, we empower women, enable youth, and engage communities through the support of programs like 4-H, FFA, food banks, and the United Way. We advocate for farmers by boldly sharing facts and addressing misconceptions, as well as supporting farmer-friendly policies. We promote the role of farmers, and we encourage our more than 20,000 employees to be ambassadors by providing them with the tools and trainings they need to be comfortable speaking up with family and friends, as well as on social media and in their communities about the role that agriculture plays in each one of our lives. Clearly at Corteva, we're just getting started, but we're encouraged by what we can accomplish for our farmers, communities, and our planet by working together. So let me close by saying thank you. Thank you for joining the conversation, for working with us to promote agriculture, and thank you to farmers for producing the food that brings everybody to the table.
Another powerful component of Ag Day is the Outstanding Young Farmer Program, which was formed nearly 80 years ago. The first Outstanding Young Farmer National Congress was held under the sponsorship of John Deere in 1977 in Bismarck, North Dakota. Since then, the program has grown in size and stature. Each year, the top 10 are chosen for an expense-paid trip to the Outstanding Young Farmer Awards Congress each year. These top 10 automatically become members of the OFA fraternity. From the top 10, 4 are chosen as National Outstanding Young Farmers. There are now 1,500 plus members in the OFA fraternity, and several hundred of them return each year to attend the Congress and renew friendships from years past. Please join me in welcoming Ben Sowers.
Good day, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. My name is Ben Sowers, and I live in Middletown, Maryland, with my wife Kate and our 4 children. Kate and I were named one of the 4 National Outstanding Young Farmer winners at the Outstanding Young Farmer Program in 2019 in Iowa. Middletown is 50 miles west of Washington and Baltimore. I own the company with Kate, my sister Abby, and my brother-in-law Tony. We have 5 different companies and employ 175 people. Under the farm, Sowers Farm Holdings, we farm 3,000 acres of corn, soybeans, wheat, barley, alfalfa, and a lot of grass, hay, and a lot of grass pastures. For our 550 head of dairy cattle, our 130 head of beef cattle, 18,000 laying hens, plus all our replacements and our steers. We grow 1,400 acres of cover crops on that ground every year. All products produced on the farm are then value added by our 2 creameries and our restaurant, and we home deliver or we deliver to stores. South Mountain Creamery processes our milk from the farm and delivers to 10,500 homes in the Metro DC area and 600 stores up and down the East Coast. Up until September of 2019, 95% of our customers here at South Mountain Creamery were home delivery customers. The rest of them were wholesale, different things. We put on a second shift starting in September at the processing plant. And that was a blessing. At first it was a curse because we didn't have the hours, but once the pandemic started, we doubled in size on the home delivery customers. We went over 10,000 deliveries within a few weeks of the pandemic starting, and we were already in line having the second shift in place, and they needed hours anyway. We responded to the growth by taking every one of those customers and signing them up and making them part of the South Mountain Creamery family. We were in glass, cardboard, plastic, everything was in short supply. Meats were hard to get because we couldn't get into the butcher shops. But what we did have was milk and eggs from us, and we had produce from other farms. So we cut 60% of our home delivery products, and we carried essentials on those trucks. And we made sure that those customers had the essentials that they needed to have. We rented 15 more delivery trucks. We hired drivers to put in those trucks, and they did fantastic. Our team here, our family of employees are the superheroes. Their sense of community in this was amazing. It was overwhelming. Taking care of our community is extremely important to us. Community is everything to us. We had already been experiencing tremendous growth from a competitor 40 miles north of us. They went bankrupt, and those customers started coming to us in September of 2019. We eventually knew that our processing plant here in Middletown could not hold up to the 24/5 production. Things just weren't built for that. So we decided to buy that plant 40 miles north from the competitor that had closed down, and we opened that plant on September 21st, and we moved half of the production back up there. We also, one of the great things about that was we got to bring the employees back that were there, and we got to bring some of the farms back that were producing the milk, and we started an organic line back up there. That was an organic plant. As always, the agriculture community rose to the occasion, put the world on our backs. Most people got a huge lesson in the real need for small and mid-sized community farms throughout the world. The essential products we produce locally and are essential to the security of our well-being. I hope to see financial institutions in the future taking chances on smaller farms and getting those smaller farms products on local shelves, not products shipped 2,000 miles across the country. This pandemic has taught us that we need smaller supply chains in the food system. It was a scary thing to go to a grocery store and see that there was no milk or eggs or butter or any of those kind of things on the shelf. Know that the farmer had them, but they could never get them processed. And that was very scary. We were very fortunate to have our own supply chain here. We had the processing, we had those kind of things. And I believe that the consumer will remember that. But we as an ag community needs to remind them what we do and how we did it and what we did for them during this pandemic. You guys need to do your own value adding, do those kind of things, get your products on the shelf. You know, tell your stories, tell the stories of your farm. We can't let them become complacent about the origins of their food. The American farmer has always been the backbone of our society, squaring up against the darkest days in our history. We are strong, resilient type that is far too often not thanked. I thank you with all my heart and all the tremendous work that you do. Thank you to the National Ag Day folks for inviting me to speak. Thank you to the Outstanding Young Farmers Program and their main sponsor, John Deere. And me and myself would like to thank that program for letting us meet all the friends that we've gotten to meet. Go on social media, post about National Ag Day, and get the word out, because you are the voice. We are the voice. God has taught us through this to stick together and care for one another. So God bless, and thank you for inviting me.
We're still waking up every morning, and we're putting our boots on, and we're going to work, and we're farming. That's all we know how to do. So we're going to continue to do that.
We are going to continue to produce food enough for the entire country.
It's far from business as usual in cities and towns across America. But we want you to know that America's farmers and ranchers are still farming, working diligently in their fields, barns, and orchards to continue feeding America today and tomorrow, just like we do 365 days a year.
Farmers care. Otherwise, they wouldn't go into the season totally unknowing if there's going to be a 2021 season for them. I think they do that every year. I think that's the salt of the earth, good heart of people who grow food.
We're proud to serve the men and women who treat their work as a calling, not a job. Of course, farmers can't do it alone. To all the farm suppliers and grocery store clerks, thank you. We do not take you for granted. Resiliency is part of farming, and believing in tomorrow is core to a farmer's creed. We are all in this together.
Ag Day takes the combined efforts of so many dedicated organizations, businesses, and individuals. A special thanks to the Agricultural Council of American Board for their hard work and commitment. And thank you to everyone who participated in Ag Day 2021. Watch agday.org for details on next year's celebration.